All right, here we go. This one's going to be a 357 SIG test. We are back with the double tap ammo. So I actually did do this test the other day, but it was a full-size test. I got quite a few people wanting to see it out of the short barrel, so here we are. Also, this isn't so much versus as it is just kind of a comparison to see how these rounds do out of that short barrel. So the first one, that one is the 115 grain SCHP. That is that solid copper hollow point. Does have your standard brass case, and that one's rated at 1500 feet per second, and that is out of the 4.5 inch barrel. And the one on the right is our 125 grain bonded defense. That one is very similar to your Spear Gold Dot. That one also has your standard brass case, and that one's rated 1525 feet per second, and that is out of that full size 4.5 inch. So we will be going out of our short barrel Glock 33. That one does have that 3.42 inch barrel. We'll be going through our gel. That is a 10% block. Do over a catch block behind that, so a total of 22 inches of gel, 4 layers of cotton t-shirt on the front, and like always, we'll set up our chronograph so we can hopefully pick up those impact velocities. So let's set up and see how these rounds do. First one up will be that solid copper. All right, we're setting it to 15 feet. All right, let's see what we did on that one. All right, so it looks like our impact velocity on that one was 1453, so definitely not too bad for that short barrel. Because rated for that one was 15, and I believe we were just about 15 with our full size, so really didn't drop too much for that, so really good to see. All right, so there is the entry for that one. Looks like we got another perfect hit, and you can see right down in there, looks like a pretty big star pattern so far. So let's check it out from the top. Oh yeah, check that out. Looks like I got quite a bit of damage going on. You can see some of those petals that sheared off and kind of settled down a little bit, and then we did make it into that second block. So let's see what kind of measurement we have on this one. So it looks like our kind of biggest stretch is about halfway through our block. Instead of being right here, it looks like a little bit more damage towards the center, so I think that's probably where we will measure it. So at our leading edge or widest spot, we're just over 2.5 inches, so definitely not too bad for that. And like I said, there's quite a bit of fragmentation, so let's check it out from the side. And same thing from the side, so you can see pretty much as soon as that thing came in, this one kind of exploded in there. You can see it did quite a bit of damage going through, probably 3/4 of the way through that block. Then we did start to settle down. It looks like it did veer down a little bit, and then you can see some of those petals. So let's see what kind of measurement we have here from the side. So at our widest spot here on the side, we are just about 2 3/4 inches, so a little bit more from the side than the top, but not too bad. So what happened with this one, we did end up exiting the block. We didn't keep it in the block. We sheared off every petal, and then it was just kind of just a solid slug, so it did start to veer down. We went, let me kind of flip this so you can see, it looks like we went about 2.5 to 3 inches into this second block. There's a petal sitting there, and then we actually did go through our table. So we did find it a few feet behind our table. We weren't able to keep it in the block this time, but kind of predictable. That's pretty much what happened to the last one too. They usually end up shearing all their petals off, and then they just kind of go all over the place. So you can kind of see down in there. Let's measure that real quick. So yeah, it looks like about 3.5 inches, and then it did exit that block through our table, and then we did find it a few feet behind. But not too bad. So kind of we're not really sure how much penetration we got. One of these days I will retest it. We don't really have enough room or enough blocks today to do it, but at least we were able to get the velocity and kind of see what was going on. So if I was to measure before it going out of the table, we are about 14.5 or 14 3/4 inches of penetration. So really not too bad there. So let's set it for that bonded defense and see how that one does. All right, we're still back to 15 feet. All right, let's see what we did on that one. So it looks like our impact velocity on that one was 1397. So definitely not too bad for that, you know, short barrel G33. Normally when I do test 125 grains, usually if it's a boutique round, you know, Underwood, I'm usually getting in the 1360s, 1380s, and then standard's about 1330. So that's awesome to see there, almost 1400 feet per second. So there is the entry for that one. Looks like I got a really good hit. And like all the rest, you can see right down in that cavity. Looks like there's a huge star pattern so far. So let's check it out from the top. Oh yeah, check that out. Looks like that thing pretty much came in and exploded. It did start to settle down pretty quickly. And then you can see that round, it is resting here in that first block towards the end. So we did not make it out. So let's see what kind of measurement we have here from the side. Looks like we do have a small blowout here on the side. Quite a bit of fragmentation going on. So I'm not going to measure, you know, these fragments at, you know, their widest spots. I'm just going to measure the majority of the channel. And like always, I will cut these open later and do our cross section so we can get a little bit more accurate measurement. But so far we are right at 3 3/4 inches. So very impressive there. It didn't carry that energy too far, but definitely quite a bit there at that entry. So let's check it out from the side. Oh yeah, same thing from the side. Let's see, hopefully the camera's picking that up. But you can see as soon as that thing came in, pretty much exploded in there. You can see quite a few different shoots going off from where those petals are going. Looks like it carried that energy about halfway through that block and then did start to settle down pretty quickly. And then you can see that round there at the end. But man, that is a ton of energy getting dumped right there. The first, you know, 6 inches or so. So let's see what kind of measurement we have here at our widest spot. So from the side, we are just about 3 1/4 inches. So definitely a little bit less from the side than the top, but still very impressive. And actually, I didn't notice this from the top, but it looks like we do have a blowout here. So let's see what kind of penetration we got for this one. So at our leading edge, let's see if we can get an accurate one. We are right at 10 3/4 inches. So it just was shy of coming out. These are 11-inch blocks. So just shy of coming out of that. Man, check that out. That is a huge energy dump going on there. So let's check it out one more time from the top. So the one on the right is that solid copper. One on the left is that bonded defense. So very impressive. So here is that solid copper track. You can see as soon as that one came in, started to open up. Pretty good disruption so far. You can see a few of those petals going on, and then that one did make it into that second block, but only went about a couple, you know, 3 inches or so, and did veer down, and we did go through our table, but we just still did catch the slug, which is good. And then this one was our bonded defense. Kind of a different story here. You can see it came in, opened up, pretty much exploded in there. You can see all those fragments and petals shooting off. And then it did settle down pretty quickly, and then there is that slug. So let's pull these rounds and see what they look like. All right, check these things out. Looks like we got some really good expansion for both of them. So the one on the right is that solid copper, one on the left is that bonded defense. So here is that solid copper round. So like I said, when this one did go in that block, it did pretty much shear off every one of its petals. Still is very sharp where they did end up coming off, but not a very wide expansion, pretty much at 355 diameter. We will get our measurement here at the end, but you can see kind of where it started to cut into that copper right there on the top when it did go through that table. But, you know, definitely not my cup of tea, but, you know, still pretty impressive the amount of damage it did. And for that bonded defense, we have tested this in the past. Like I said, out at full size, it pretty much did the same thing. It went in, just kind of sheared everything off, which is very, you know, different, especially for it being a bonded round. It's peeling off all those petals. It does kind of have that signature gold dot like our gold dots. Like I said, it is very similar to your gold dot, but definitely doesn't hold together like one. You can see there's quite a bit of gel. We'll rinse these here at the end, but yeah, it peeled off every one of those petals. We did get some nice mushrooming and some good expansion, but definitely didn't hold together too well. But we'll check them out one time from the bottom. So like I said, the one on the right is that solid copper, excuse me, and then the one on the left is that bonded defense. And last time from the top. Like I said, I will get our screenshots, slow-mo, all that good stuff here at the end so you guys can get a better look at those. But there we go. That one was solid copper versus bonded defense, 115 grain versus 125. I guess not so much a versus, just kind of the comparison for our short barrel just to see how they perform. But definitely not too bad. But there we go. Thanks for watching, guys. All right, so here's that solid copper cross section. That one did quite a bit of damage. You can see that perfect star cut in there. Nice and deep cut. Same thing on this other side. I did remeasure both of these, and they are right at 2 3/4 inches. So definitely pretty impressive for that. Even though that one didn't hold together the best, you know, it still did quite a bit. So let's cut it open. All right, so here's after being cut. So this bottom is the right side, this top is the left. So you can see at this one, it does look like it was a little bit more delayed than our normal ones. Normally about 1/4 inch where it starts to open. This one's more towards the 1/2 inch mark. But whenever it did, it definitely did quite a bit of damage. You can see that stretch going all the way through, and some really nice clean cuts down in there. It doesn't look like it drug in any fabric on this one, but it definitely got some pretty deep cuts. I was only able to find 2 of the petals, so it looks like the other ones did escape the block. You know, because that thing completely came apart. So like I said before, I will retest these, specifically this one, just to see if we can get, you know, a little bit better shot, so we can actually catch everything in there. But looks like anything over 1,400 feet per second with that one is definitely not going to hold together all that great, but still looks like it did some pretty good damage. So here's the top, same thing, came in, opened up, nice stretch going through, and some nice deep cuts. It looks like there's a little bit of fabric on this side, but definitely coming through, creating quite a bit of damage. So that one was still, you know, pretty impressive. Definitely a fun test. So there we go, guys. That one was that 115 grain solid copper hollow point. All right, so here's that cross section for that bonded defense. This one was a little bit different story. This one created a ton of damage going on. You can see some nice, huge splits going on. Same thing on this other side. There's quite a few fragments in there, but some huge splitting. I did remeasure these. We're averaging about 3 3/4 inches and peaking right at 4 inches. So that one did a ton of damage. So I'm going to shine a little bit of different light just so we can kind of see in there. But basically this one looks like our 124 grain nozzlers that we test from Underwood. Just the amount of damage that's going on. Like I always say, it almost looks like a rifle round came in and just kind of exploded and spiderwebbed everything in there. So quite a bit of damage for that one. But, you know, pretty impressive there. So let's cut it open. All right, so here's after being cut. So this bottom is the right side, this top is the left. You can see pretty much immediately as soon as this one came in, that 1/4 inch mark started opening up. And there is a huge stretch going all the way through. You can kind of see those shoots out where, you know, those petals are kind of shooting off. But just a crazy amount of damage in there. There's quite a bit of fragmentation still also, which is pretty crazy. You know, it is a bonded round, hence the name bonded defense, but it doesn't seem to hold together all that great in any of the tests I've done so far. There's one of the petals there. I will pull them all out here at the end so we can get our pictures, but yeah, there's pieces all over the place. It just seems like, you know, anything over probably 1,250 to 1,300 feet per second, it just does not like. They just completely come apart. But definitely pretty impressive on the damage path that it's creating. That is a nasty round right there for sure. So same thing on the top. Came in, opened up. You can see that huge stretch going all the way through. And same thing where those petals are kind of shooting off, creating a little bit more damage, and you can see that gel starts to turn backwards, just the way it you know, it's going, so that velocity is so high, it's just going in there and literally just flipping it around. It's a huge kind of goalie or channel in there. It's kind of digging out, but just a ton of damage for sure. Looks like there's a little bit of fabric in there, not too much, but man, that is just super impressive. I'm gonna do the light again so you guys can maybe see a little bit better, but crazy amount of damage for sure. Huge splitting. So let's do one more quick angle just so you guys can get a little bit better look at what's going on. But check that out. Huge tears in this gel. There's a little bit of kind of small lead specks in there, but crazy stuff right there. Look at that one. That one's just very impressive. Huge splits and huge cuts. So there we go, guys. That one was 125 grain bonded defense out of that short barrel Glock 33.